TV, Rell TV. This ain't the Shade Room or TMZ, cause on Rell TV, Rell TV. Ain't tryna get canceled like R. Kelly, cause it's Rell TV.
Welcome to another episode of Rell TV. It's your boy Rell. My very first guest on Rell TV. I had to bring on my dad, my pops. How you doing, Dad? How you doing?
All right, son. Great show, bro.
So, I mean, it felt only right to bring you on as the first guest because TV played such a big role. In our household. I mean, we watched TV together. I would say I think our biggest thing was probably watching stand-ups. I think that was like our thing, like watching stand-ups together and stuff. But I mean, we did watch a lot of like TV, and I mean, I wasn't really a real movie person, even though, you know, I watched movies, but I was more of a show person. So I always liked, you know, shows more than movies anyway. So
yeah.
I think that was our bonding, one of our bonding moments.
Yeah, comedy was our thing. Comedy was definitely our thing, especially on Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah. Def Comedy Jam. I remember watching like BET. What was BET? Comic View.
Yes.
Comic View, BET. Yeah, I mean, and you took me to my first stand-ups. I mean, I've been a lot of stand-ups since then, but took me to I think the first one was at Linden movie.
Right. Reggie John.
Yeah.
And some more. Was some more headline that night?
I don't know.
I don't know, because I remember going to see some more one night.
Brumman or maybe Michael Blackson. Nah, I don't know. No, maybe not Michael.
Oh yeah, you know, Michael Blackson probably was there. It was a while ago, so yeah. A lot of cats. I know Tyler probably part of that. Probably
yeah, I just remember being at the movies. I remember being at the movies, and I was like, I didn't know they had shows there. I mean,
yeah. Mike, Brooklyn Mike, and AG White. They used to throw those comedy shows over there, and one of the players that used to work with his mom, Tree the Sunshine, she used to promote comedy shows over there. It was pretty cool. I was glad I was able to get you out there with one of those.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was my first experience. I mean, I've been to a lot since then, but yeah, that was actually my last one was with you too for my birthday. So the first one and the last one so far.
Oh, we gotta make that happen. Let me make that happen again.
Yeah.
Tyler Jr., he got another show coming up too. He's gonna be headlining, so you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because actually some of my best shows that I like was from those comics from those shows. The Comic Review and Def Jam.
Yeah.
Like Bernie Mac.
Yeah, Martin.
He's on top of my list.
Yeah. Martin. D.L. Hughley had a show.
Yep.
Yeah, well, a lot of people from there end up being on shows and stuff.
True, that's how they got them. They like Martin, he came up for Def Jam. He was the host of Def Jam, and a lot of those guys got they shot on mainstream TV. It's mainstream now, but back in the day, Fox was coming up.
Yeah.
WPX, they were coming up. UPN, Channel 9 here in New York, that was coming up. But that's how they got their shot, through those comedy shows. Buster Simmons, he really hooked that up.
Well, yeah. I mean, even Martin said, and they did a reunion a couple months ago, and they were talking about like Tracy Morgan and like Brumman, and like they say that, you know, like Martin seen them at doing the stand up, and then he was like, I gotta have you on the show. So it was like that all kind of came together with that.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, actually, like, I see you got the background of Sanford's son. Sanford's son was a stand-up comedian also, Red
Yeah,
Fox.
Red Fox. Yeah.
And when he first started, one of his writers was Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stand-up goes way, way back. It goes way back.
yeah,
And even Eddie Murphy, stand-up comedy. And the idea of stand-up comedy, which is really, it's like a church. It's laughing, clowning, but they really teach you a lot of stuff. If you listen to what they're saying, they talk
yeah,
about what's going on, how to deal with it, relationships. So it's a lot to be taught in those spots.
yeah, yeah. That's true. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I feel like comedians are also good writers. Like good at sitcoms because sitcoms are just about just regular situations that happen, and comedians are usually people that like are noticing like the little things, and you know, like so. I feel like that's why like that connection has always been there because it's comedians are really good at just understanding regular everyday life, and that's pretty much what sitcoms are, just every day, just something new happening.
Yeah, because you got to pay attention to details. Just like the idea of we looking at television, like a lot of shows that I watch because you guys are watching the kids, your brother and sister will watch the show, and I want to see what excited you, got you laughing. Because I always like to see your laugh, man. Oh, I love to see your laugh because in this society, this world, people say it's bad now. It was bad ever since I was born. You always want to see your kids happy. So I always like the idea of you laughing, especially you, because you will be on the floor. You be slapping and jumping up and down. I like, it can't be that funny. But then again,
Probably
sometimes
was.
it was that funny. So,
Yeah,
so I was like, okay, I better check this out. But yeah,
yeah,
that was the whole thing. And we
yeah.
did
I mean, I
bond.
always watch shows that were, I mean, I guess that were older. I always like all kinds of shows, but yeah, I wasn't really big fan of cartoons and all that stuff. I mean, I
Yeah,
did watch some cartoons, but I always just like show like people like seeing actual people. So that was like my thing. I feel like.
yeah, because you would, like, the only show cartoon I remember we watching that I was kind of concerned about was Boondocks. But that was mostly your brother's show.
Yeah, yeah,
He was into that
that was more great.
Boondocks thing. I was
Yeah,
concerned
that
about
was more
that.
great.
And I was like, if these kids start talking to me like they talk to their parents, I just gonna be a problem. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Nah, but Boondocks is a little old. I was older for that. That was more Greg. That was more Greg than anything.
yeah,
But I did
yeah,
have it though.
yeah.
I had the DVD. I do remember that. I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
have
all those DVDs. Well, stuff that you like, you got the DVDs like Christmas, birthday, like Martin.
it.
You had
Yeah.
all the collections, the Wayans, the
Well, yeah.
Wayne brothers.
Martin. I had Martin. I remember when I went to Germany. Martin. I had I think I had 3 seasons of Martin, and my roommate, who he was German, but he lived in America. He had 3 seasons of Martin, so we had the whole collection of Martin. So we pretty much watched Martin every day. Like when I was in Germany, I watched Martin and King of Queens every
Oh
day
yeah.
for 5
Oh,
months.
I don't know how that show slipped my mind because that show used to crack me up.
Yeah,
King of Queens. That show used to crack me up. That dude was just hilarious.
yeah, yeah. No, King of Queens is one of my favorite shows. But
Yeah, so you had, and that was I was a big concern of mine when you was going to Germany because like I knew like going to another foreign country, the shell shock could be like hard to get through, because there's a lot of stuff you can't do, a lot of things you can't eat, communication. You're trying to say something real simple and it's hard to communicate that, and it can be really taxing on you when you go to a foreign country. So taking those shows with you to kind of remind you of home, that was a good idea. That was a really good idea.
well,
I
yeah.
was
I mean,
concerned about that.
I mean, for me, I really didn't. I mean, I guess I was shell shocked, but I got over it pretty quick. I was able to adjust really quick. I mean, but for me, I watched TV a lot, and there wasn't really much to do outside of like, there's a lot of downtime there. So for me, it was just like I had to find something because the TV there was all in German. Besides, yeah, like even all they had like my wife and kids and stuff. They had like my wife and kids, and people love my wife and kids there. They had my wife and kids, and they had How I Met Your Mother, but it was all in German, so I couldn't even watch it with every like.
Yeah.
People love my wife and kids there. I do remember that. Like a lot of
They
people.
had didn't they have the subtitles?
They
They
did,
didn't
but it's
bother.
like I'm watching an American show. Like I gotta read the subtitles while it's
Yeah,
the
it's
voice
kind of
in
it's
German.
kind of you miss
It's
a few
not.
things.
I was just like, I'm just going to. I mean, and there was streaming back then, but the streaming wasn't as good as now. So for some reason, I was able to get all sports. Like I could get any sports, but regular TV, I just couldn't. Only thing that I could get was like they had this one channel that had just King of Queens. It was like a streaming network, and it was just King of Queens 24/7. It's just
Wow.
King of Queens, and I had that, and that's how I watched this show.
Like when I was in the military, Marines, be on the ship, you go to these different countries, and you're right, you couldn't see half the stuff in English. But on the ship, they would play shows. It'd be tape, but they would play shows, and like Soul Train would come on Saturday after we had to clean up, which is classic for everybody that's black. They was like, this is perfect. You clean up because they call that field day. You had to clean up your area where you live at, and you be cleaning for hours just to be busy. And then Soul Train come on, and all the cats be in there dancing, carrying on. White cats, black cats, green cats, blue cats, all kind of cats in there, just doing their thing. And music, laughter, all that comes together to bind people. After you get together, in a session like that, it changes things. Like if you can relate to a TV show, no matter where you from, you forget all the hatred and all that foolishness. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying that all that comes together when you combine yourself under the umbrella of love. Love of the show, love of laughter, love of a good joke, love of music, love of dance. And that's why I always, like I said, always like to see you guys watching TV, enjoying that, because coming up, that was a big thing for us. TV was a major thing. A lot of people didn't have TVs prior to my age group. So when we had it, we watched it and we enjoyed it. That's one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. My recruiter told me that the next war, and we was about to be in battle with, I think, Iran. He said, oh, they're going to come and they're going to destroy America. And know how they're going to get you? They're going to take out the TV. I said, really? I said, man. He said, you don't want that to happen. Your grandmother going to be watching TV and they're going to cut it off. And I knew, he got me because that's what my grandmother was. She was my TV, big time. I come home after I signed up for the Marine Corps. I come home. I tell my sister, guess what I just did? She don't want to hear it because I Love Lucy's on. And during those times, they didn't have reruns. So you watch it, you might never catch the episode again, right?
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to talk for her now. I Love Lucy's on. I said, you got to hear what I just did. You got to hear what I did. He said, I don't want to hear that now. I Love Lucy's on. I turned the TV off. He tried to kill me.
Mhm.
I said, I just joined the Marine Corps. She said, I don't care if you die in the Marine Corps. I Love Lucy on. I bet you back on. So the TV was an important part of our lives.
Yeah.
A point where, I think it influenced a lot of things. You know, a lot of things. You got a friend named Chico. Chico the Man was my show. So yeah, a lot of things happen.
No, that's true. All right, so let's get into it. So we're gonna do top five favorite family sitcoms. So top five favorite family sitcoms. I'll start it off. So my five, number five, I would start with Reba. So Reba's,
Reba.
yeah, Reba. I don't know how I started. I think mom used to
Ma,
watch.
your mother.
Yeah,
Your
I think
mother
mom
was
used to
with
watch
Reba.
Reba. But I always liked Reba because it wasn't like a regular like family show. They were very like there was a lot going on in their family. Like she was married.
Uh,
Well, Reba's husband, he cheated on her with his assistant, and then they got married. But they lived like close together, and then like the assistant like loved Reba, and then like the daughter got pregnant as like a teenager. They were like it was a lot going. It was like a dysfunctional family. So I kind of liked it. I kind of like that. So Reba's my number five.
it's
Um,
interesting.
Number four.
We just right there. We could check a little bit. That assistant, she's on the show Young Shelton.
Yeah,
She's the neighbor.
yeah. I can't remember her name, but yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's on the
She was
Young
on a couple
Shelton
other
show.
shows too. She was on a couple other shows.
Yeah, but the connection there is. All right, go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So number four would be Everybody Hates Chris. Because I think Everybody Hates Chris is out of all shows, I think that one is probably the closest to our family. Not saying that exactly how our family is, but
Brooklyn.
I think that out of all the shows, out of all sitcoms, I think that one is the closest to how our family is. So I would say Everybody Hates Chris. I always love that show. That would be my number four. Number three would be Family Matters, because it was classic. I actually started watching Family Matters like now, and it's not as good, I don't think. But Family
Yeah.
Matters. Number two would be Cosby Show, because I always love the Cosby Show. I think that was Cosby Show would be my number one, but I think the cancel culture kind of worked because
Yeah.
just don't watch it. The show's just not on anymore. It's like
Oh no, I thought that they did pull. Oh, the world's different worlds, different worlds.
yeah,
They had pulled everything Cosby, but they put different world back on.
yeah, because when I was younger, Cosby Show used to be on all the time.
All
Like
the
from
time.
when you come home from school all the way to like nighttime. And like at nighttime, it's like Cosby Show used to always be on. I feel like I've watched every episode multiple times.
Probably did.
But
I know you did. I know you did coming up while it's coming on regular. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Cosby Show regularly until teenagers, and then maybe even early adults, and then they just stopped playing it. So my number one would be Fresh Prince. So Fresh Prince.
So to go back into what you were saying, like Fresh Prince, first of all, and that, can I speak on your list?
Yeah.
On my behalf. Fresh Prince, I was like, at first I was not really digging him because I come from that old school hip hop. I'm Run DMC, this guy coming with this lollipop rap, and now he got a TV show. I'm taking it personally.
Yeah.
And then I watched it a little bit, and I was like, okay. And then like I said, once I started seeing you guys get into it, and I started digging it more. And then he moved from his original character in respect to like this rapper from Philly. So that kind of moved out. And then we went to the Cosby Show, and I was a big Cosby fan. When I was a kid, I used to listen to his albums at my cousin Stephen's house on the weekends. And it was clean. It was all clean. But he would have you rolling. Cosby versus Richard Pryor was so different, but yet so funny. And he talked about family, So when he came with the show, I said, "Oh, this is just a extension of his albums." And I was a big fan because he had this show called I Spy, where he was a black spy, he had a partner white spy, and Cosby was so cool in that show. He did Let's Do It Again and Uptown Saturday Night, and when he did those two movies, he won everybody over, especially the black community. So I was a big fan of his. Family Matters. That Urkel character got on my nerves, man. I really wasn't feeling him until he started getting that cool
Yeah,
Urkel.
Stefan.
What his name was?
Stefan Urkel.
Stefan, right. When he became Stefan, that was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And my cousin Steven his original name was Stefan. Stefan.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. This could work for me. I just was the whole father thing, and I thought he was overacting a little bit.
Yeah.
But I got through it. Everybody loves Chris. I don't know if you know the story, but I used to work with Chris Rock's first cousin, Fred Rock. So, we thought it was a joke that this dude's last name was Rock, right? He said, no, I got a whole family full of these people, right? Now, you know how Chris Rock has that tone? They don't really address that tone in the show, but he has like a tone in his voice.
Yeah.
So we goes to Chris Rock's birthday. I'm sorry, it's Fred Rock's birthday at his house. It's a house full of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The little girls, the boys, they all talk like him, like Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, yo, what's up? Because we was like, why they talk like this? We met the grandfather. The grandfather talked like that. Had that same tone. They all sound the same. And it was a real deal with all them people around. I don't know what Chris Rock. He said he grew up with his father, but there was a lot of rocks in there, and they all lived in that same house. So I kind of related to him to that show, although it was loosely based on his life, not really quite.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, not really.
But I could relate to that show, and I can understand the fact that you said about family working, the mom saying things, and attitudes and stuff like that. I could relate to that. And you said the Wayans, correct?
No, Reba was my fifth one.
Reba, yeah, and that Reba thing. I would never, in my wildest dream, think you would put that down. And I know we watched that show, but I never thought you would put that down.
No, I watch Reba. Cool. I watch Reba a lot.
Wow, that's interesting. Your mom know this?
I don't know. I don't know if she does, honestly.
Yeah, that was her show. Her, that, and Roseanne. She loved that show.
Yeah, Roseanne. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my list, and I try to stay more black sitcoms. Although I got tons of shows, but I was trying to wire it down to black sitcoms. So my first one would probably be Malcolm and Eddie. Okay. I remember that, and that show was introduced to me by you guys. Malcolm and Eddie. I was thinking like, wow, Eddie Griffin, he's talented. That's a talented cat. And Malcolm, I couldn't understand how Theo jumped from, into this character. Like I can always see Theo no matter what.
Yeah.
But he jumped into the character well. He played out pretty well. I said, yeah, this is cool. And the Wayans, I always liked Marlon. I always thought Marlon was one of the most talented Wayans. One of the most talented Wayans. The other one's Damon. And so when they came out with their show and that theme song, I was like, these things is crazy. Yeah. And y'all was into it. Whenever it came on, y'all had it on.
Yeah.
So I was into that. They had this would be my third one, would be the Jamie Foxx show. I like Jamie Foxx because he's really talented. That's a talented cat. He can sing, he can act, he can impersonate. I thought he was really good. Especially Francine. She was gorgeous. Yeah. So that whole show grabbed me up quick. My Wife and Kids. I like that show a lot too.
Yeah, My Wife and Kids. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because like I said, I like the Wayne brothers, and I like Damien because Damien he stuck out early, as far as I knew, as a stand-up comedian. I saw him, I think, one time years just before he got on Sunday Live. I saw him someplace. So this guy is kind of interesting. And then when he got with his brother and did Living Color, I said, okay, this is good. This guy, he got a lot of stuff. He did a lot of things behind the scenes. Keenan ran the show, but Damon wrote a lot of the skits.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, this guy's good. It's good. And every little part he played always got my attention. He did this movie on Major Payne,
Yeah.
Marine.
Yeah, man.
I said, yo, this dude is funny. And then he jumped into this movie, a show. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe the show came out around the same time, Major
No,
Payne. But
I think Major Payne came out before.
yeah, I think so too. And then when he did My Wife and Kids, I thought that was cool. I thought it was a cool concept. And plus, he pulled in Gina from Martin, which everybody's already sold her as Gina, as
Yeah.
Martin's girl. He makes her his wife, which is
Yeah.
changed everybody's mindset. Everybody got to think differently now. They got to say, wait,
Yeah.
this is Rich girl's own wife now. So I was like, okay, cool. I like this. I like this. I like the way he went at this. That was good. And the top of my list is the Bernie Mac show. Like we discussed, the whole Bernie doing the stand up, and then his speech, his dialogue wasn't, traditional.
Yeah.
You got to be trained actor, speak clear, no slang, you got to come across. He didn't come off ignorant, but he came off like he was from the hood.
Yeah.
And people from Chicago, you've been to Chicago. Chicago's not a very big place. It's like about the size of Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. And people from Chicago South, the South Side, they are more country than people from South Carolina.
Yeah.
They just country. I don't know what that's all about down there, that Chicago South thing. And that's where he was from. And his brother, if I'm not mistaken, his brother sang for the Shylights.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. His brother was a singer. I think his brother played for the Shylights. And so his whole thing caught me right on up. I think that stardom got to him to a point where he started getting sick. He couldn't take care of himself. That's what took him out. But he was about to be the man. He's gonna be bigger than all of them. Steve Harvey, Cedric Taylor. Cedric Taylor and Steve Harvey was my dudes too. I mean, I didn't put them on my list of the show, but I did dig them both. But Bernie Mac was the man. I think he surpassed D.L. Hootie. I never really liked D.L. Hootie. I didn't really like his show either, but yeah, I think he was surpassed all of them. His show was. I like the way they did the Bernie Mac show, where they'll do a segment and then they'll
talk about it.
Outside, they pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. They call it pulling the curtain back. I like that. Back in the day, they should be the George Burns show, and anybody that wanted to be a comedian wanted to be like George Burns. He was the right dude, but anybody that thought about being a comedian, they wanted to be like George Burns. What's that guy? Milton Berle. These cats, they get on TV, tell these jokes. I don't know what they was talking about, but whatever it was, they had people cracking up. And they'll smoke a cigar on stage, no problem. But George Brown's show, he would do the show, and then he would actually pull the curtain back, come out from behind the curtain, and then talk to the audience, and he'll pull out his wife Gracie, and they just communicate that way. And I
Yeah.
said, this is a different type of TV. It's different than most things now. The
Yeah.
pioneer of different TV was I Love Lucy with Desi Arnaz. He was the
Yeah.
man who created all those TVs, different angles in
Yeah. He
the
did like
studio.
the three TV, like three camera angle or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the
He was the
person.
man. He was way ahead of television. He was way ahead of it because the way he approached it, the deals he made, he understood that Lucy was the star. He kept her up there, and he made deals to get studios and contracts that was unheard of. And
Yeah.
they were trying to blackball him too because he was Cuban.
Well, yeah. Well, there. He created his own studio.
Right. He did. He did. And because she backed him, because they wasn't gonna give him the money. But because he said, I got Lucy, and everybody loves Lucy. That was for real. Everybody
Yeah.
loves Lucy. And if you don't treat us right, I'm walking with Lucy. And she was with him.
Well, yeah.
So that was it. That was it for TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think go back to the Bernie Mac. I think that it was different the way he was able to like talk about like a scene that just happened like right there. I mean, I guess Chris Rock kind of does it because he does the narration, but
Right.
it's not the same way, that Bernie Mac actually did like a commentary of it, like right after.
Right. By him sitting in his chair in another room. Because knowing or not, like even me coming through raising y'all, there was times where certain things happened as I reacted a certain way, and I'm saying to myself, maybe I should have did it differently, or I shouldn't have did that, or I don't want to jeopardize my family for my ego. Because I went to work many days and I got threatened to lose my job, or they were making room for other people and all this stuff. I said, I got a family to feed. You can't do that. And then I reacted to certain people and they said, oh, you can't stay here because I said, maybe I shouldn't react that way. I shouldn't react because I got a family to feed. When you have other responsibility, you start thinking differently. That's why those shows were important, because you had people who were living your life too on TV.
Yeah,
It was exactly the same, but was very similar. So
yeah,
we had to exit to try to figure this out.
well,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. I mean, and as far as like my wife and kids, that's one of my favorites too. That will probably be up there too. I always like my wife and kids. I mean, I think it kind of started out slow, but it picked up. It picked up after like the second or third season. But yeah, my wife and kids is funny. That's one of my favorite shows too. Like Malcolm and Eddie, I like those shows, but I wouldn't consider them a family because they weren't really family. Malcolm and Eddie, they were just friends.
no, but see,
But
that's
a
the whole
family show,
thing.
like a family could watch
It
it.
wasn't a family show. You're right. It wasn't a family show, but yet it was my family show.
But yeah, like a
You
slow watch.
understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's
yeah,
why it kept clicking in my head. I kept saying, because you're right. Because you gave me the categories and you gave me the criteria, but I kept thinking, what shows that I enjoyed being around my family watching,
yeah,
and those shows that kind of like brought back good memories. So that's why I had to put them on the list,
yeah. No,
because
I like Malcolm and Eddie. I do watch.
because because TV, man, TV plays so much importance. Like I remember, like when I was a kid, on Sunday nights, Bonanza used to come on. The Cartwrights, the Cowboys, and I should be so impressed because this dude was a single father raising these boys. Although they were adults at that point, but they still was like his son, his boys. And he kept them in line, and he kept his business running. He had over 1,000 acres, I believe. Bonanza, I think Ponderosa was like 1,000 acres. I always kept saying, I want at least 100 acres. I'm still working on that. I want at least 100 acres of land because I always was influenced by that. I was like, yeah, man. We would watch that. We would watch Walt Disney, and I always wanted to go to Disney World, Disneyland. I want to go. I want to go. My father was like, I don't know, maybe one day we go, but I doubt it because you got to take a plane there. I'm not taking no plane nowhere. And we want to go. We want to take you, your sister, your brothers as kids. So, those things implant your level. Even sports. When you was a baby, I got you like, cause you get to a point where you would just throw out your bottle when you was done with it, you just threw your bottle out the crib. I said, this dude got so I put baseball, football, basketball in there in your crib. Like I said, God, whatever you do, make sure he's athletic, cause this kid got something going on right here. And it was watching sports, and I was like saying, I want you to be at least 6'5". That's why I'm my mistake, and this is a lesson to learn. I kept saying, I want you to be at least 6'5". I should have said, I want you to be high, the height you need to be to play NBA. Because at that time, 6'5" was a good size to be. I should have just said, whatever height he need to be, do what you got to do. Make him that height. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that certain things definitely, well, not if it doesn't influence you as far as the shows, but it brings back memories of where you were when you watched the shows, if anything. So like that, I understand of why you picked up the Malcolm Eddie, which I did like Malcolm Eddie. I do like Wayne's Brothers too. Like that's one of my favorite shows. I mean, I would technically put it. I don't know if I would put it on the list for the family, but they are family though, because they are brothers in the Pops. They are family. So brothers. But no. I mean, no. Wayne's Brothers is one of my favorite shows too, though. I think that show was funny. I think they also got better. I think once they got like that second cast of people, I think they got better. When they got like D, they got D as a security guard and TC and all those people. I think they were funnier than that. That first group was kind of funny, but it wasn't as funny as the.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
They changed
everything. But that's how that goes. You put together a team to start off, and you have to kind of like feel your way through. That's the way it is in business. You put a team together, and you say, okay, this team is going to rock with me. Then, whatever reasons, they go. Yeah. And then you got to put together another team. But the idea is not to put together the same exact team, but put together a better team.
Well, yeah.
So to advance.
Yeah. I mean, most shows usually do that. They got to add somebody. I mean, the Wayne brothers just changed. I mean, besides Pops, they changed everyone pretty much between that first beginning and then like the end. But I mean, it worked. It worked to me. I think it worked more because it just made the stories fun. Like it just made the episode funnier.
But like at the first beginning, they had that fat kid, right? Or they had that guy TC, that slick guy.
Well, that was towards the end. The first one they had the security guard, the female, the white woman, and then remember they got D in the second one, the black woman. And then they had you remember they had the black girl Monique, like she like worked and she was like the fancy like bougie type. They had her, and then they had one of their friends, like guy with dreads or something. can't remember his name, but that's who it was like in the beginning. And then when they changed it, they added Dupree and TC, and then they added D. That was the security guard,
which was really off the hook because D came off of Amen,
yeah,
and she was the pastor's wife, and for her to jump from that into the security,
more
and for you to buy into it, that's the whole thing, to buy into it, because people be very serious about their TV. You can't just change characters up and move people in and move people out. Like my wife and kids, when they moved that girl out, the first girl,
yeah,
that was a big controversy.
Well, yeah. Well, they moved her out pretty early. She left pretty early. Like, I think she did one season.
Change.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not as big as like Fresh Prince moving a mom out or something like that. That was huge.
That was huge, but that was around the same time. That was around the same time. Everybody was getting like real conscious around that thing about black TV and color skin tones and all that stuff. So that there was a whole bunch of crap about that. That's why
I think that was different. I think that was later because My Wife and Kids came out after Fresh Prince.
Yeah, but not long after.
Well, yeah, maybe because I know My Wife and Kids was like early 2000s.
Yeah, so Fresh Prince came in what, late 90s?
No, Fresh Prince started like late 80s, I think, or 91, 1991. 1991 was the first year, I think. First episode was 1991. So they went for like 10 years. So probably.
So Vivian, the first Vivian was there how many seasons? 4 or 5.
Well, she was there most of them. I think the other Vivian was only there for maybe the last 2.
It was closing. It was about closing. So, okay, so let's say she's there half the time. That's enough to get you caught up in that.
Well, yeah.
And if you if you come and you get into this whole being conscious and being woke attitude, and they talked about how they don't have many black shows on mainstream TV, and they do something like that, people start paying attention to that. Because remember, My Wife and Kids was on Channel 7, ABC, and Fresh Prince was on NBC, on I'm saying Channel 4. So those are mainstream TV stations.
Yeah.
Now, if they did it on Fox or UPN, like if it was on Moesha, they wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
But it was on a mainstream TV, so the whole country's watching this thing. And they're saying why they took them out. Because of the skin tone?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I'm telling you, that was the conversation was about. It was about, did they take them out because of the skin tone, and why did they do that? Because it wasn't because the show was failing.
Well, yeah, but there's also just a lot. From my understanding, well, I don't. The My Wife and Kids one, I think the girl wanted to leave the show. Like she wanted.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Just like Family Matters, there was
the girl,
the younger sister. She wanted out because they said that the father had they was worried about the sexual preference of the father.
Yeah.
Outside of the show, and yeah, that is true. But at the same time, people who are watching from the outside of all that, they don't see that.
Yeah.
And back in those days, they didn't put that out there.
Yeah, there wasn't no TMZ and all that.
No, they didn't cover those type of issues. They just said they were gone. Unless you die, especially in black television, unless you die, they don't want to see you gone like that.
Oh yeah.
So that was a whole big deal. I mean, that's just the evolution. That's how it's supposed to be that way. It's all brings about changes in where we at right now. You
Yeah.
know, if we didn't do that, if they didn't do that, we probably wouldn't have nothing to talk about.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, and I don't know behind. I mean, I guess the with the Aunt Viv thing, she had something with Will. They weren't
Yeah, that
they
was the
weren't
thing
together
too.
at all until like recently. I think they just like squashed that like
Yeah.
last year or something like that. They I don't know what I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they
Well,
weren't together.
the deal with that is like I was saying about Bernie Mac, like by him getting that sitcom. These people weren't trained actors,
Yeah,
and to get that spot, like okay, like John Amos was the father of Good Times. Ragged that show was, he still put work in. He was doing it like he was on a Broadway show.
yeah,
He put his credentials on the line when he act. But the son, Jimmy Walker, he was a stand-up comedian.
mm,
They didn't really want him. But they didn't think that he was going to jump out of the box. Even it was based around the younger son, Michael. They were going to try to do the show around him. But JJ, his character, just jumped out at everybody.
yeah,
You know, so they started doing a lot of stuff around him, giving him more lines. But the actors on the show was like, he just there for the laughs. But then people wanted more laughs than they wanted
yeah,
seriousness.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's why when they brought this young rapper, Vivian, the first Vivian, she had a problem with him because he wasn't trained. He didn't know his lines. He didn't wasn't conscious about those being in the spot where he's supposed to be at, and camera angles, all that stuff, which is all stuff you learn, but he didn't want to learn it. He just
yeah.
wanted to just do it, and she's upset about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like yeah, that's any of them because even like Martin and the reunion thing, he talked about how like even though he was a star, the first two seasons he was learning from everyone else because everyone else were in movies and in shows. Like I didn't realize
Right,
that they said Cole was the young he was in shows the youngest. Like before the
right,
whole cockroach stuff, he was in
right,
something before that. Like he was
right,
like the real child
right.
because
Try
I
acting.
was always like those two, but I yeah they said that Cole was like the one that was really like getting booked as a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, getting work. Right, he was getting work. Yeah, I saw that. That's true, and that was a hang up. Same thing with Steve Harvey. He had Steve Harvey and Central Entertainment wasn't real actors, so
Yeah,
they didn't know what to do with certain things. The jogging is always a big thing. Jogging, in any business, any job you do, you got to know the jargon. So they would say certain things. I don't know any artist jargon, so I don't know what to say. But in respect to, they would call out things to do. They didn't know what to do. They had no clue what to do. But
yeah,
they was smart enough to try to figure it out and pay attention to it and get it done. And because it was, like I said, on mainstream TV, they could get by with that for the first two seasons.
yeah,
And once their check came, they started to get it together.
yeah. Because yeah, Steve Harvey said that was Kim Phil's mom like once he signed the deal, she had to like teach him like 12 hours how to like act because he had no
Yeah,
experience at all.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And the idea that one Kim Phil's mother was there, and she's like the Joe Jackson of artists, Perry. You got Joe Jackson, you got Kim Phil's mother. You got Moesha's mother. I mean, Moesha's Ray J and Brandy's mother. You got Beyonce's father. Those parents, they were the people who set the tone for the young artists
Yeah,
because they were taking advantage of kid actors.
Well, yeah.
but they knew the skill. And Kim Phil's mother, she was an actress too. She actually was on Good Times a few times.
Yeah, she was Janet Jackson's mom.
Right. So she had the skills and she knew how to connect. And Steve Harvey was smart enough to let her do what she had to do. Because he could have just turned it down and said, I'm not, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get through this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. All right, so that was a great episode. So we're gonna wrap it up. So
Okay.
make sure you subscribe to Rell TV. Follow me on follow me at Rell TV, Snapchat, and then where can they find you? Where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me at the DAA Godfather of Solar, all platforms.
All right. So thank you again, Dad. That was a great episode. So make sure you subscribe, check us out, Rell TV, and we out of here.